Peace. If Andre 3000 got the flu, I got that old shoot to make you exercise your third eye root. Let's go, Real HD. That's right. Bring 5 people to the Real HD show, courtesy of yourself. Win a 4-day, 3-night vacation to the destination of your choice in the continental United States and Caribbean, courtesy of Redeem Vacations. Last but not least, let's go. Let's hear about the new shows on the Real HD Network. Let's go. That's right. That's right. That's right. What up to you, and all you in the back and in the middle and in front? Yo, you have reached the Real HD Show. It's the higher discussion. We call ourselves Prime Time with a Purpose. Why? Don't get nervous. We going below the epidermis. That means we gonna get deep on here, deep enough to swim in. You just tune in and like, share, subscribe, and tell a friend to get on this ride. You know what I mean? We're a social justice show, but we are a higher discussion. That means we need you to jump in and we need you to tell us and talk to us about the issues of our times and the issues of our day. I'm your host, Vic, stands for the Victorious One, and I'm your host for this ride for the next maybe 40, 55 minutes or so, if not longer, if we get a great discussion popping. Um, we're going to jump right into a segment that we have on the Real HD Show that's near and dear to our heart, and it's called the Elders and Ancestors Blueprint. And why do we have an Elders and Ancestors Blueprint? Before we get started, why? Because we want to give our elders and ancestors their flowers. We want to make sure that they are respected and genuflected because they provide a lot. And some of us think we have to go outside and reinvent the wheel when really we need to just look to what the layout our ancestors provided us. So for right now, we don't have an ancestor tonight, but we got some words from someone who is in elder status. That's right, it's Dr. Joy DeGroot. And she's got a real quick jump off on fathers. Um, and I want you guys to check it out a bit. And then if it strikes some of you, we can chop it up. Check it out. Real HD Show.
With communities all over the United States, particularly African American males. What I appreciated about the titles, I wish my dad, it didn't silence my voice. I wish my dad loved himself more. I wish my dad loved my mom more. I wish all of the different chapters of this book speak a truth, speak a need for this conversation. And I think at the same time, it destroys the myth of the intimate relationship between black men, and it destroys the myth of that tenderness, the love that you feel in each one of these conversations.
Yeah, so that was Elders and Ancestors Blueprint. Go get Joy DeGroo's book on dads. And no, she's not paying me, but I dig where Big Sis is coming from. Auntie, Big Sis, however you want to flip it. She is talking about men digging a little deeper, reaching a little more with their reach, and opening up just a bit more and having some candid conversations. Um, I think that this is important because not all the time do the women and the children get a candid look at the deepness of what it takes to be a black man in America, especially a black man with decades under his belt, who's been through some things, seen some things, experienced some things, read some things, learned some things, and carries himself accordingly. Not every black man is perfect, but it is worth listening to their stories with no judgment. So you can understand exactly where they're coming from and where they want to go and where they may want you to go. And I put a quote on Twitter the other day, and it relates to this because sometimes brothers, especially if you're a dad like myself, I'm a dad of three. I got to pick my baby girl up from the airport right after the show's over. We don't often get the grace end of the stick or the BOD end of the stick, benefit of the doubt, with the love and affection that we show our children because we show it in a certain way. We're not grandmas, we're not mommies, we're not aunties. But often the conversation gets circled and stereotyped and focused, hyper focused around the way that mommies, aunties, and nanas show love. And if brothers aren't showing love in that way, then the other way must be toxic. It must be unproductive. It must be not valuable. So talk to me out there. We blasting off to 5 Facebook channels. We are blasting off to YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Mob Crush D Live, Turbo Nation. Let us know what you think about that. Do you think there needs to be more honesty and more open ears to the way that brothers, older brothers, love? Because men are not women, and we love differently. And yeah, we're affectionate, but we're not gonna love like a mommy loves or auntie loves or grandma loves. And sometimes that can be misinterpreted as being too stoic or too cold or too masculine or too whatever. I mean, make it up. America's been doing that since birth of a nation. Just make up what you think the brothers are about and what our worth is. And okay, society will say that's what it is. Like this toxic masculinity thing. They made that up and they tried to describe brothers as put brothers in that cage. And that term was really made for white gay men who are on a down low. But I appreciate Joy DeGruy because she's trying to have the crucial conversation. Just like Ayala Van Zant was trying to have the crucial conversation. Just like I am trying to have the higher discussion. All right, man. So we're moving on. Let us know. Put it in, time stamp it. Like, share, subscribe. Cut it up into a short if you like, and have that conversation with you and yours. It's worth it. Okay, so now we're gonna jump into another segment called the AAT report. Healthy, wealthier, and wiser. Aero, aqua, terra, everything under the land, sea, and air. That's good for our cellular health and power. We will cover. So I came across this really cool, not really cool, but it's informative, right? Because I'm a nerd like that, and I get into all type of stuff. So I was watching the Tom Hartman program, and it wasn't so much what he had to say. He affirmed with his newscasting of the subject matter that I'm going to show you. He affirmed a lot of what I already had been thinking on the subject matter, and maybe we can have a discussion. I haven't made conclusions about the subject, but I was also thinking about these things and how these things are seen in a macro, seen in a larger society. So without further ado, let's get into the AAT report, Healthy, Wealthier, and Wiser for Dope You, Sell Power, Health, Wealth, Knowledge Yourself. Here go the intro.
I do one of these geeky science stories that actually causes me to alter my own behavior, and this is one of them. Ever since they legalized pot here in Oregon, I've been occasionally smoking pot. It's a less destructive, to your body, intoxicant than alcohol, and there are times when I think all of us, or most of us anyway, enjoy an intoxicant. And after smoking pot for a couple of years, I thought, this can't be good for me. And so I started vaping it, thinking, well, that's got to be healthier. Well,
fair use.
It turns out it's not that much healthier. And this is just amazing. Adults who don't smoke, this was 2 different studies that were done. One was in 2018, one was in 2023. One involved a few thousand people, one was a little larger group than that. And what they found, and this was non-smokers who were regularly smoking pot, and what they found was that daily marijuana use, smoking or vaping, increased your risk of heart failure by 34%, as well as your risk of heart attack and stroke. They advise people to refrain from smoking or vaping any substance, including pot, because it damages your heart, your lung, and your blood vessels. The smoking and inhaling cannabis, quote, increases concentrations of blood carboxyhemoglobin, carbon monoxide, tar, partly burned combustible material, similar to the effects of inhaling a tobacco cigarette, both of which have been linked to heart muscle disease, chest pain, heart rhythm disturbances, heart attacks, and other serious conditions. The number of American seniors over age 65 who now smoke marijuana or use edibles has increased twofold between 2015 and 2018, and then gone up between 2015 and 2019 among the over 65 crowd by 450%. So what's the alternative? Edibles. Now, the one thing about edibles is wait at least 2 hours after you eat some to see how hard it's going to hit you. And, you know, it doesn't take very long to figure out, you know, am I a 5 milligram guy, a 10 milligram guy, a 20 milligram person, which pretty much knocks me flat on my butt. You know, 5 milligrams to sleep. But, you know, try it out, check it out. But
All right, so we're back, Relays D Show. That was our AAT report on cannabis. Now, what's interesting about it is, I'm not saying that Tom Hartman was wrong. And oh, I see you, brother. I see you, brother Eagle. Hey, man, if you want to jump on and talk a little bit about this, I'll show this too. I have no problems putting it on the screen and busting it down. But if you want to show people this and you want to talk about it, you have your own important, valuable something to add to this particular article, please get on. Here is the link. All you got to do is put it in your address bar above, StreamYard.com, AYAJT 7N9UC, and I'll bring you up. We'll put the article up on the platform, and we can have a higher discussion, brother. I welcome you, man. Come through. And that goes for anybody that wants to. Please, I welcome it all. We call it community producing, right? I usually produce the show on my own, but I have no problem with the community lending, and often I get many articles and things that we need to have a higher discussion about through the community and loved ones. You know what I mean? Friends, family, and valuable people. So if you want to do it, bro, come on through and we will talk about it. I will put it up. I will queue it up. I will put it up, and we can get this done. So the rest of the AAT report, Healthy, Wealthier, and Wiser, Tom Hartman brought up the subject matter of cannabis. And of course, it's always been pretty popular. It's always been that taboo thing to use. It's always been that taboo subject matter. It's always been the thing that you kind of partake in, but you don't speak of in public because it's still on the Schedule 1 list as a drug nationally. And of course, they were locking brothers up for ash bud on the car seat. You know what I mean? Ridiculous stuff. They just lock you up and throw away the key. And now that now that they have an IPO behind cannabis, now it's all okay. Now it's legal. Now it's all okay to use cannabis, and now it's all okay now that white people can benefit from the macro sales and investing in cannabis. And here's something I want to talk about, because everybody has said forever and a day that cannabis is harmful to the body, and it's taboo, and that you shouldn't do it. And they wag the finger at you. They wag the old Christian finger at you. Why are you doing all that smoking, young man? And then in the recesses of their own privacy, they take out a pipe and they're doing their thing. Just keeping it real, trying to have a higher discussion. But what the gentleman said in the particular clip, he talked about it causing heart disease and causing heart attacks over time. And you know, here's my take on that. Anybody, any carcinogen substance that you smoke will impede your lungs. It will impede your, cardiopulmonary process, and eventually the tar will exacerbate the process of decay and exacerbate the process of pathogens in the body. And yeah, if you don't have a heart attack, you may come down with some sort of cancer of the throat, of the lips, or something like that. And based on my research in cannabis as a hallucinogen is really the kiddie way of using it. It's really the, you know, recreational or entertainment way of using cannabis. Cannabis can be used in so many responsible ways, and we have natural cannabinoids in the brain that respond to cannabis if it's pure, if it's done correctly, if it's cured and processed correctly, and if it's a natural, because it is a natural plant and it's grown all over the earth. And I'm not trying to rationalize it, but what I'm trying to offer is whether or not the substance can be used differently, because you have trichomes that offer medicinal properties that, because the medical associations and pharmaceutical associations don't want to go out of business, they won't connect the dots on what those trichomes can offer the body and how they can enhance the natural cannabinoids in the body and how that can aid the medical process in pain relief or body management. You can use it as a diuretic. You can use it a million different ways, and there's still a million different ways that it hasn't been experimented with in order to find out the true connectivity and power of the plant. So, just like brothers and sisters who get stereotyped and don't like to be stereotyped, we shouldn't stereotype cannabis for that very reason if you haven't had any real experience with it, or if you're just using it for entertainment purposes. Um, and that's my take, man. And that's the AAT report. Please be responsible when you are using cannabis and seek wise counsel, because these laws have changed, and these thresholds for how cannabis is regarded in society has changed. But that doesn't mean that if you are getting cannabis that's stepped on and it has fentanyl in it and it has this in it or that in it, that sort of cannabis is going to be detrimental to your health. Whether it is right away or whether it is down the line, is going to be detrimental to your health. So unless you see how your cannabis is being grown and you're getting that direct substance and you're using it in ways that are more mature, and you know your thresholds, right? How many ounces, what's your threshold bodily? How does your body respond to cannabis? Unless you know those things, I would take it real slow. I would educate myself. And here's the thing. Stay tuned for the Real HD show, because we have a cannabis. Sorry about that. We have a cannabis show that I'm putting together, and it's called the Pole Society. And it's going to be people from all over the world, especially the United States. And it's going to be a conversation about cannabis, the growth, the industry, the IPO, the taboo nature of it, the truths of it, and how it can best benefit people. And since we were the first agrarians on the planet, talking about our ancestors, we have to had a relationship with it and use it for interesting and unique ways. So let's be mature about it. Let's not have a judgmental conversation, but let's have a higher discussion on the subject. We gotta comment. Let's see what we got. Hey, peace, Godspeed. We are talking about cannabis, man. We are in the middle of our AAT report. And one of the things that were mentioned in the AAT report, if you want to make a comment or even jump backstage and you and I, you can come on up and you and I can have a higher discussion. We were talking about how cannabis in some forms, especially the smoking psychotropic way, can lead to heart attack and stroke. And I was saying that, of course, it could because it's a carcinogen. You know what I mean? It gets into your lungs. It petrifies the cardiopulmonary process, how you get your air, how your heart is run, how your lungs are run. And it dilutes, it really infiltrates that process and dirties it up. And over time, the pathogens manifest into either some sort of blood clotting situation or a cancer causing type of an event in the body. But then I also say we got to be careful though, because now cannabis as a societal use is not regarded as, the trouble drug anymore, right? And it's seen as, now that people can have their own businesses with cannabis, people can invest in cannabis. You have people in the pharmaceutical and the medical community, well, that might not be in their best interest to promote cannabis. But you know what might be in their best interest to do? Badmouth it. And then also, I wanted to talk about how people use cannabis and whether people use cannabis for its entertainment value. Do they use it as a diuretic? Do they use it as a, healer? Do they use it as a body maintenance additive to their diet? There's a lot of different ways that you can use cannabis that's effective and thorough. So let us know out there how you feel about it. Even if you don't like it, let us know that you don't like it. Let us know what's going on. Put it in the chat. Do you use cannabis? Do you know people who use? Did you stop using? Why did you stop using? And of course, everybody heard about how Snoop Dogg has stopped smoking. And he's got about maybe 4 or 5 artists that are following his lead. And I commend it because, anytime you smoke and you put carcinogens in your body, you're taking a risk that those carcinogens aren't going to attack the lungs and attack the heart and have ill effects on the body. All right, let us know, man, because that was the AAT report. Healthy, Wealthier, and Wiser for Cellular Power. And there is the call link below. If you want some and you want to get in, just type it in your address bar above and we will get to it. And for kicks and giggles, let's go to okay, boom. Godspeed has this to say. I believe that it has been a medicinal. I believe it has medicinal purposes, but I'm not qualified enough to speak intricately on the topic. Which my younger brother was available. He can actually speak to it much better than I can. Yeah, I agree. It does have medicinal values. It does have medicinal purposes, and it can be used in that way. It's just not enough research is going into it, and it's not populated enough. People don't know about that enough, you know. And I think it's important that we kind of don't be a birth of a nation type of folk and just go on stereotypes, but kind of do the knowledge, do the research, equip ourselves to be better, and be aware. And that's what this show is all about. But Brother Howard Eagle posted this particular article, and since we're in a know the ledge type of show, we are gonna go right to it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put the thing back, and I'm going to type it in the chat, type it in the queue, and see what we can get from it. And then we can have a higher discussion. And I invite anybody who is it's the Rochester Beacon on losers final round in court. Okay. Anybody who wants to talk about this is hometown business. I live in Rochester, New York. Anybody who wants to talk about this, please pop it on. Get in here. Or you could do it in the chat. You could jump in the chat. That means you too, Brother Eagle. You can jump in the chat and let us know how you feel. I'm going to share my screen and we can get into it like we supposed to do it. Give me 1 second. There we go. Boom. Everyone let me know at home, man. Give me a thumbs up or give me a mic check or something. Let me know if you can see what I see. It says City loses final round in court on disciplinary powers, PAB. Okay. So let's jump into this. It says City loses final round in court on PAB disciplinary powers. A state divided court of appeals has rejected Rochester City Council argument that the city's police accountability board should have power to discipline Rochester police officers. Wow. See, there we go. Hot off the press. Love. I like the topic. Let's talk about it. I'll read the first paragraph again. A divided state court of appeals has rejected, okay, the Rochester City Court's argument that the city's police accountability board should have the power to discipline Rochester Police Department officers. In a 4-3 decision handed down Monday, a majority on the state's highest court affirmed the two lower courts' ruling that went against the city council and sided with Rochester Police Locust Club. Here we go. The RPD officers, patrol officers union. A lot of power in this area. Monday's decision comes for years after the city council adopted, mayor signed, voter approved referendum, the local law that created PAB, Police Accountability Board. Last November, the Court of Appeal agreed to hear the case. All right, man. So is Brother Howard, is there anything else you want noted in the article before we have a higher discussion about it? Because and anybody else, because this could be pivotal to you, because just because these things are happening here doesn't mean they won't happen where you are. Because I have a police-based article that I'm going to share with us right after this that I had planned for another moment, but I'm gonna pop it on anyway. Let me just make sure I got that loaded up. Yeah, okay. Yep, got it loaded up. So let's have a higher discussion about this, man. How do you feel about it? Do you think that the Court of Appeals should have rejected the Police Accountability Board having the power to discipline Rochester police officers? Should there be a police accountability board in your area? And if there is one, do you think they should have the ability to discipline rogue or misconduct amongst police officers? Because remember, I read the article last show where they talked about dozens of California cops were suspended for police misconduct. Dozens. And they indicted 10 of them. And they all get trained in the same way. They all get the killology training. They all get trained by the Israeli professionals. Facts. Look it up. G4S. Look it up. I did the show on it. Check it out. And do you think that that's wrong? Do you think that that is something that should change? Should we exercise, or are they doing justice to our 10th Amendment powers, which is where the police get their powers from? They get their powers from the 10th Amendment. But the 10th Amendment also gives people the powers that the states don't exercise within that same amendment. And that would be where the Police Accountability Board would have authority. And since they voted, or since they recommended that the Police Accountability Board in Rochester should not have the authority to discipline police officers, does that take away our sovereignty as a group or as a person and as a group in the United States? What do you think? What's up with that? Talk to us. Let us know what you think. Let's have a higher discussion about it. Talk to us. What do you think about that whole policing ethic? Is it time to create state to state, city to city, get gritty, and create a board that is representative of the people, which is what Rochester, tried to do, and they continue to strive at, and they make efforts to hold the police and their misconduct accountable. Now, of course, we had, Naila Bay, we had Daniel Prude, and we had those heinous acts by those police officers that went, frankly, went unpunished. You know what I mean? We had protests, we had riots, we had this, we had that. We did a little bit of everything. But still, those subjects and those topics and those people go undone. They go unjustified. You know what I mean? The people don't have justice for it. And yeah, it's one thing to do the electric slide on Jefferson Avenue, but it's another thing to give that family justice and give that community justice. And I think the Police Accountability Board was a step in that direction. Am I a fan of it in its entirety? No. But is it a step in the right direction? Can we build on that into something bigger and better that could be more fruitful for the people? Absolutely. So let me know in the comments, man. Don't be shy. I'll put your comment on the screen, or you could jump backstage with the StreamYard link below. Just put it in the above address browser, and we can get to it. How do you feel about the police in your city? Do you think the police in your city need accountability and disciplinary powers put on that ass? Do you think so? I think so. Because I'm hearing about way too many situations in way too many of my people's communities where these people are just running amok, killing people, tasing people, abusing people's rights, and barely get any accountability. Here's a question, and let me know. Jump on in and let me know. Do you? And I know police have what do you call that? They have security bonds on their office because they're public servants, and most public servants have surety bonds in on their office. But they're not voted on to be in office. They're hired or therefore recommended. So if they are hired or therefore recommended, should there be, or do you think that they are a protected class in this country, both politically, economically, and while some unions for some industries erode, the police union is probably state to state, city to city is probably the strongest unions countrywide, without a doubt. Without a doubt. That Dallas police union, it's crazy. Like, these officials can't even get elected if you don't get a consensus from the police union or the firefighters union or the EMT union or unions that are public servant unions. So let us know, are they a protected class in this country? And is that how people prefer it? Or can something be done to hold them more accountable, make them more responsible to the people, and therefore, the people have dog in the fight and they can reach true justice. All right, so I'm gonna get right to another article. Put it in the chat, timestamp it, or what have you. We would love to hear from you. This is the higher discussion. We do it your way. That's why I put the article up and I chopped it up about it just a bit. Okay, let's see. We got a comment. Hey, I hope I'm saying the name. I hope I'm saying the name right. Whether it's a brother or a sister. Rajesh Barnabas. Peace and welcome to the show. There is no way that we should call them police. They are an occupying force. You can call them police out in the suburbs, but you can't call them police in the city. Where 85% don't live in the city. Facts. Shout out to Avon, man. We went toe to toe with Arundequoit Police and the Rochester Housing Authority on that very issue, and we were trying to make some changes along those same lines. Let me continue. At any other time in history or any place in the world, we call them a colonial occupying force. I call them race soldiers. I hear you though. Period. The Police Accountability Board was simply trying to have a body that was legally defended, that legally defended the people versus the tyrannical force. Man, hey, love that comment, Rajesh. Keep it coming. Keep the comments coming. So let me ask you this, man. I agree with you, and I do agree that they're an occupying force, and I do agree that you know it has us almost in a colonialized type of state. Um, you got the name pronunciation right. Thank you, brother. Are you a brother or a sister? I don't want to get that wrong either. Let us know. Let us know. Let us know so I can address your brother. Okay, brother. Thank you. I appreciate it, man. Yeah. I do believe they're an occupying force, and I do believe. Now we got to remember that the police, um, the police were made. The history of the police was made from the slave patrols of the early 1800s. So, we have a unique journey with them as far as their history and their usefulness to us as a community. We are diametrically opposed to them as a community. So this is why, and not many people bring this up. So this is why we don't really have a favorable disposition when it comes to them, and there's very very few of them that you can trust. I know there's a really dope brother who works on who lives on the west side, and he's a cop in Rochester. If somebody knows his name, put his name in there too. He's pretty popular, and he's really like a community servant. But he's a cop, and he's pretty decorated within Rochester. And shout out to Z, man. Z is also I believe he's a sergeant, if not a lieutenant, in the police department in Rochester, and he's cool. But then when you're behind that wall of blue, it's like a fraternity, man, and you gotta kind of do what they want you to do. If you don't do what they want you to do, and you wearing that blue, you're gonna have all kinds of caca coming your way because they're gonna the blue veil. What's behind the blue veil? You know what I mean? Peace, brother Mozzie. We're talking about the Police Accountability Board. Brother Howard Eagle, I don't know if you know him. He had sent an article to us about how the Police Accountability Board was rejected. Yeah. So peace to brother Eagle. You can jump on, man. We'd love to hear your voice. We love to hear what you got to say. But I'm building with this brother Rajesh, and this is what Rajesh has to say. You can read it because I already read it to the good people out there. You can take your time and read it, and we're just building on a couple of things. Yeah. So I think it's way past bedtime for us to have more of a say in the tyrannical abilities of the police in our municipality, because we're actually paying taxes for them. That's the method that funds their job, their industry, their existence. And they are protected because, of course, they're the race soldiers. They're the guard dogs of the higher powers that be, the elected officials, the business class. And those are the people that they protect. And those are the people that they do their dirty work for. And one other thing, Rajesh, and I don't know if you could build on this, but bear with me. The original, back in New York, when the cops were first formed back in New York and Philadelphia, because those are the first two areas that had cops, they made the cops out of the gangs in the area, the immigrant gangs in the 1920s. Mm-hmm. And they took the biggest and the dumbest and the bulliest, and they created cops out of it. So now if you fast forward that and you go to West Point and you see you see this sign, right? They flashing this everywhere, right? And then you see they got all kinds of neo-Nazi gangs and racist cats all over the place. and that has really infiltrated and become a cancer throughout that profession. If it isn't already wasn't a cancer, you know what I'm saying? So it sounds like you wanted to weigh in, brother Mozzie. Go ahead.
I didn't have anything to say at the moment. Let me listen for a few minutes. Plus, I got some gremlins going on, so I'm trying to take care of those real quick.
Yeah, no problem. Godspeed. Take your time.
Everything is running a little slow. So
no, that's okay.
Just give me a second.
Yeah, do your thing, brother. Yeah, that's okay. Godspeed. Come on back when you get a moment, and you can always jump back on. You can always jump on the stage if you want, because this is a crucial connection, crucial topic. I want to show y'all something, and this pertains to what we're talking about. Let me see. Where did I have it? Okay, here we go. I'll pull it up. And remember, that's the call letters below. And you can join StreamYard.com, AYITIJT7N9UC. We can have a higher discussion. That is what we are here for. So, Brother Mozzie is in the building. So Sparks is about to fly. Get your notebooks and your notepads out. School is in session. We're going to chop it up. All right, so here's the article. This Louisiana town runs largely on traffic fines. You might fight your ticket, but the mayor is your judge. It says a Fenton population of 226 brings in over 1 million people per year. It's mayor's court, an unusual justice system in which the mayor can serve as judge, even though he's responsible for the town finances. Now, this cuts to the core. Let me know. Put a thumbs up in the chat if you want me to read another byline of the article. But I think I'll read a little bit of it. Why not? Let me see. Let me get it back up. Okay. So it says the village of Fenton, outside oil gas town of Lake Charles, covers about 20 blocks. There's City Hall, a library, one gas station, a small public housing complex, Dollar General, a grain elevator, a Baptist church. Drivers headed to East Texas, so this places from central Louisiana go right through the town. So I guess it borders Louisiana and Texas, passing it all in under a minute. In many ways, Fenton is like other towns in Louisiana. Shout out to LA. Shout out to Fifth Ward in New Orleans, man. I got people down there. But it's remarkable in one way. The village of 226 people collect more money in a single year through fines and forfeitures and public traffic tickets than almost any other municipality in Louisiana. Says the fines are collected through what's known as the mayor's court, a little known type of small town court founded in Louisiana and Ohio. In Fenton, its primary function is process the thousands of traffic tickets written annually by a few police officers. Here, the mayor is also the judge, appointing the prosecutor, and ask for a trial, deciding their guilt or innocence. Now, I'm not sure if you can see this, Brother Mozzie, but this sounds like a conflict of interest to me. What do you think?
In some way, common sense wise, it does. But in the context of the way in which societies ran, it is not a conflict. Because here's the thing. To be a judge in America, even to be a judge on a Supreme Court, you do not have to be an attorney. You can be a regular person walking down the street.
Correct. You can be appointed. Yeah, you got to be appointed.
So if they felt the need to appoint this person as the judge. So, yes, it's a conflict of interest, but in the scheme of things, the way in which things are structured and the way in which they run and do what they do, no, it's not a conflict of interest.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up
And I
because
say
that's
that because
go ahead.
if people are going to sit around and allow that to happen, then it's going to.
I was getting to that very point.
I said no. If people don't allow that to happen, then it's going to.
Right.
I mean, if you're going to walk around and allow the mayor to be the judge at the same time, that's like some of these comedy shows you watch where the guy walks in and he's the mayor and he runs the jail, he runs the general store, all these little old comedy black and white shows that you see back
how
in
many
the
job
day.
you have? How many job you
one guy
have?
ran practically everything in the town.
How many job you have? I'm the
Exactly.
mayor, I'm the cook, I'm the cleaner, I'm the police, I'm the
Yeah,
Yeah, man. Shout out to A Living Color. That was
that's
pretty
it right there, man.
Pretty funny stuff. Pretty funny stuff. I
That's
think they were
right.
called the Headleys. I think they were
And
called the
in
Headleys.
today's world, for that to happen the way it does in today's world, and for that to happen in today's world, you can't do nothing but blame the people, man.
Yeah.
Because as our esteemed ancestor scholar Amos Wilson say, my people do what they do because they can, and we've done nothing to change that. So we're going to continue to live in have some of this craziness go on until people have enough one day. But the unfortunate part is when they have enough, they're going to function out of emotion and not out of, having calm and cool heads and be calculating.
Yes, sir. Can everybody hear me? Can you hear me? Okay. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, it's a little delayed, but I think some of that might just be my system.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I can hear you. Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah. You're
Hello?
good. You're good. You're good. You're good. All right. So, actually, if you're delayed, just go back out and come back in, and that should clean that up.
All right.
Yeah, try that because that might be the remedy. The remedy. It just might be like a Wi-Fi thing. But yeah. So it's a situation like that. But brother Steve Coakley, who's one of my one of my more inspirational ancestors. Of course, he was made an ancestor a few years ago, but I work with that brother, and he's really, really dope, and he's very, very thorough and very researched and very knowledgeable and very, very heady about the needs of our community, both from a logistics standpoint and a knowledge and research standpoint. One of the things he would also tell me, why advise us about was the different levels and branches of government and how the transportation department is not the same thing as the Justice Department. And I would love to see that town Fenton and their bylaws as a township where they can mix their transportation department and their their court and justice department. I would love to see how those two collide within policy, or isn't it abuse of power in that community and people just aren't hip to it? Can you hear me now, brother?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, awesome. So what do you think, man? I was going back to brother Steve Coakley, and he talked about how when you get towns and when you get police that have a run on tickets in a town, of course it's taxation. Of course, they're trying to line the coffers of the municipality with fines and taxes and things like that. That's the obvious thing that it's doing. It's ruining lives on another level because people may not have the money to pay the exorbitant amount of, taxes and taxation and fees. But another thing that's really important to note that a lot of people don't think about is the division of government and how traffic is under the transportation department. It's not under civil. It's not under civil justice.
Correct.
So one of the things you have to be researched about where you live is how much and what is the jurisdiction of the court system in your town to the transportation department, because that may provide some remedy for you if you put your case together in a particular way to fight some of these abuses from police taxation. Let us know at home. What do you think about that? Because this is a racket that's been going on for decades, man. I mean, decades. Ever since they brought out the plate readers, where you can hit the plate and you can automatically read the license plate, and then slowly but surely they codified it. They brought it into state legislature, and in a lot of states it's law. But it can't. But when it first was introduced, it wasn't even codified. It was just something that they were doing. Police. It was just a tool that allowed them to tax the people without the people's knowledge. What's your thought on this whole thing?
It's once again whether we move into a realm of control, and we move into a realm of where do we get money from? These are the areas, because we don't have people who we vote in the office that has the kind of wherewithal to understand these intricacies of running and financing cities and municipalities. We will allow for anything to take place. And as it relates to police officers, for some reason, they're just put on a specific pedestal and tucked away somewhere where they can do no wrong, no matter what. And then we know we can use them to then do taxation without representation.
Correct. I couldn't have said it better. Here's a couple of things you got to make sure you have. If you ever get accosted or detained by a police officer, make sure that you have a working, and you're in your vehicle, make sure you have a working dash cam. Make sure you roll your windows down the 2-inch legal limit. You don't have to roll your window down any more than 2 inches. And then also make sure that you have to give a first name. You don't have to give a last name, but you have to give a name. You don't have to hand the person your driver's license, but all you have to do is put it in the window. And it's up to the officer to ascertain the whereabouts, because you're providing your information. And then you also want to make sure you're getting that officer's credentials. You want to get the officer's badge number. You want to get his name. You want to make sure his body cam is on. And then you also want to get his surety bond information. Why is that? Because every officer has to have insurance for them to operate in their capacity. So if they do something that is in misconduct or they break the law, you can seek remedy through lawsuit by attacking their surety bond. And as soon as they hear that, and also make sure you get RAS, reasonable, articulable suspicion. Go ahead.
And the other thing too is there's no need to get let's clean our language up a little bit and have a decent tone and manner, no matter how frustrated we will be, because the reality is most of these guys are suburban thrill seekers, and they walk around with a God complex. And how dare you question me as God?
Let's talk about it.
So when you now talk to me in a tone that I don't like, I'm going to show you that I have rule over your life. And I'm not saying you got to be a punk or anything like that. The goal is to make sure you get out of that situation.
Facts.
And a lot of times, really, it's just a, hey man, let me see this information that you got, and I'll give you mine. We'll make this work out. I'll do what you need me to do, but you also got to do what I need you to do. That's the law. That's how life is set up currently as it exists. And that's it. No need to be adversarial. But it's hard for us because we've always been so harassed. So it's almost triggering for us. But that's why it's important for us as men in Rochester in particular, that we start having some man training, that we get together as men in various outlets of conscious brothers and sisters, and we have these conversations, and and we find ways to de-stress ourselves. Because that way, when you approach with a situation, you don't always have to meet it head on with force when no force is required. No matter how angry we may be, we still have to learn to control our emotions because it allows us to think our way through a situation. A lot of times we find ourselves in situations because we're so amped up, we can't think and speak intelligently enough to deal with the situation. And especially our young Black boys right now, they do not have the wherewithal to be able to talk their way out of a paper bag, man. Because they're so, I'm going to jump into another, they're so feminized.
Let's talk about it.
Very emotional. And we don't think about that. At the conversation I was having earlier today with a friend of mine in Yonkers, how many boys have throughout their lives, if they've raised in a single family home, how many have male teachers? And in a district like Rochester, how many even have Black male teachers? And these things are all important because it's how we learn how we're able to learn, and people who understand us, and something we can look towards. And also, so our boys will not be so feminized, man. That's an issue we really have to address, man. And that more than anything, in my opinion, is one of the things that is causing our young boys to find themselves either unemployed, underemployed, in jail, or under the jail.
I agree. I'm gonna take it in. I'm gonna add on. I'm gonna take it in another direction, brother Rajesh. Let me know if you agree or disagree.
How you doing, Rajesh?
Yeah, he said you were spot on about your assessment a minute ago. So civil rights wasn't everything that we needed in this country. Was it a step? Yes, but it often failed us in a lot of paradigms and a lot of areas of life and love and living and culture and progressing throughout America. And one of the things we got to do, and especially when it comes to this police brutality and police murdering and all of that, it's supposed to be equal protection under the law, but are we actually exercising our right to redress that enough? And I know we had the article and we had the subject topic about a third party in the United States. And if we were to galvanize a true third party for melanated folk, that should be at the top of the list. That issue right there should be at the top of the list. And one of the things also we should do, I'm just spit kicking here, is start doing more class action lawsuits about that. Get together with people who have similar experiences with the police, like you, who have been, treated and ill-treated or violated or whatever the situation is, and y'all get together. All it takes is 20 or more people to have a class action lawsuit going, and we don't think we can win because we don't try. Just like we don't think we can win at voting and we don't put our money towards it. But America is all about what you civically and actively participate in, and if you're not doing that, then you can't expect the results that you want. So that's why, I think Brother Howard Eagle took this particular defeat pretty, he felt pretty gritty about this defeat about the PAB because, he's been active in that way to try to galvanize some accountability for the police in Rochester so these heinous things don't keep happening. And they know they have someone that's going, that neck. Anybody got anything on that? I think we need to be more active in, the litigant area of things so that we can scare the hell out of these people and make them think twice about abusing their authority on the street. Mozzie, you got the last word on this. Then I'm gonna switch to something else.
Well, what's interesting is, when we had the Daniel Prude situation, and then we also had I forget his name just like that. What was the other one? Daniel Prude and the one in Minnesota.
Floyd.
we had a great opportunity right then and there to actually make some changes. We vote for people that we don't require anything from them. We say, hey, take this job. And then we have those who are there. Once they're there, 9 times out of 10, they'll almost never get voted out of office until they die. But we allow them to sit there every day, collect a nice little check, go up and show up at all the pretty stuff, all the luncheons, go to all the great dinners, everything else. But they don't do nothing for the people. They had a great opportunity to actually enact some legislation because we live in the land of laws. And we elect people who supposedly supposed to enact some of these laws, but they did nothing.
Right.
In Chicago, the one thing at least they did in Chicago was, and I think we talked about this some time ago, was Chicago City Council enacted a law that says any police officer that gets out of his car and approaches the situation and his body cam is not on is a felony. That's a long
there you
time.
go.
What we hear out of all the individuals who were elected to council in Rochester, we heard crickets.
Right.
And a mayor who was incompetent. I hate to say it, she didn't know how to play the game. She didn't know what to do because she never had the job or the experiences that allowed her to be able to grow so she's able to address these kind of situations. All she did was come out of law school, sit in an office for David Gant, maybe do some closings for some law stuff. And then she sat on city council and did like most of them on city council. They don't hear nothing. And then all of a sudden now she's responsible for running a very complex $500 million industry. Come on, man. If I had a company that even when it was only worth $1 million right now, and would you hire someone like that? No. But that's what happens, man. We don't, we're not in tune to what's really happening, man. And part of it is our political affiliations. When we have an opportunity to create a viable third party, we didn't do it. We still stayed with that one group, and history has shown us is that one group. We so busy worrying about the other group, but the one we done hitched our wagon to is the one that's destroying us more than anything else. We have this unfounded loyalty to a particular party that has done nothing for us. And then some people say, well, no, bro, they did nothing for us. And they've opened Pandora's box to some craziness in this world. And now we're falling even further behind because we're buying into the craziness. But I let you go, man. You go.
Nah, you good, brother. You doing your thing, man. I love it. I love the commentary. I want to get to something because, we talked about the Truman Show a little while ago and how we're giving. Yeah, lower it just a bit. Nice. Let me put you on the screen. Let me see.
Everybody can see this book. Leave it. The book is called Inventing Reality.
Inventing Reality, yes, sir.
Politics of the Mass Media, Michael Parenti.
Yes. So that would be the show. I didn't plan a book for the show, so that would be the book for the show. Thank you, brother. Thank you.
I didn't plan it. It just so happened you brought it up, and it's sitting right next to me today.
Fire. So let's get to it. So while we're enjoying the Truman Show, right, and we swallowing that blue pill and we comfortable, right? This is what your boy, by Deezy, in the White Heezy, is talking about. In the guise of digital equity, President Biden has called for the FCC to exercise a degree of control over the internet service and infrastructure that we have never seen before. This is out of the New York Sun. An FCC commissioner said the Biden administration may soon implement sweeping regulations that would give government control of the internet. Let's talk about it, man.
Well, what was net neutrality about? Remember we had that going on, and everybody kept saying, "Better not let this go through."
Appreciate you, Rajesh, man. Come through anytime, man. And you can come on stage with us and you can chop it up with us, brother. We appreciate you. Thank you for the thoughtful comments and everything that you offer to the show. Come on through next time if you get a moment. All right, we love it. All right,
net neutrality.
Here we go.
That was what we was talking about.
Here we go. While we paying attention to Netanyahu and Zelensky and the soap opera over there, folks is over here putting in that work.
That's what they
and
do every time. When
and
you need to put
denying
in
you
sweeping
your
legislation,
denying you one more denier of your rights. And you know what's interesting about this is um this came off the heels of the let me put the article up. Give me 1 second. This came off the heels of Congress and SCOTUS denying Biden the access to do this. I don't know if you remember that from a couple shows
mm-hmm.
ago. They actually denied him. So I'm gonna put the two articles up, and something is up. I'm not sure what's up, but something is up because they denied him the right to do this, and then they overturned it and gave him brief access to do the very thing that they ruled against in the first place. Now, this is a election season, and we need to pay attention to stuff like this. We need to pay attention to how. Here we go. Because originally, those people, Biden was colluding with social media companies to deny people their First Amendment right. And then SCOTUS went back and said this was an overstepping of the First Amendment. Fifth Circuit panel partly upheld restrictions on the Biden administration's communications with online platform about their content. And then later on, this was in, I believe this was in June or July. And then later on, just a couple months after that, in October, they lift the restriction. Very interesting. I find that very interesting. And now you have the FCC having control over internet and online infrastructure. So, in other words, if I'm on here speaking truth to power, they can tell me my words are inciting riots, my words are inciting violence, my words are inciting whatever they think it is. Is that a good way for us to live? Are we going to just accept that? Are we going to, are we going to take that? Or are we going to go out kicking and screaming and punching or having a strategy to combat that? Let us know at home, man. Don't be shy. We got people watching. We're on 5 Facebook channels. We're on YouTube. We're on Twitch. We're on Twitter. Mob Crush, Trovo Nation, D Live. We're a little bit of everywhere. You can't miss us. We're the Real HD Show. Let's have a higher discussion. What do you think, Maz? What's your thought when you hear this, man? FCC and new regulations that would give them control over the internet that has captivated so much of the necessities of our life as far as communication wise. What do you think? What's your thoughts?
It's the further lockdown and further control of the people that we knew was coming down the pipe. That if we had individuals in office actually doing some stuff that we voted for these folks. And I'm harping on this because it is election season, and I'm just hoping that we learn. Well, election season's kind of over to a degree, but we have to think about this when we're voting these people in office.
Right.
We can't be voting people in that does nothing. And then the second piece is we can't vote people in office who don't know what the issues are. And all too often we vote because it looks good and it feels good. And that's my homeboy. That's frat, all that stuff.
Or my homegirl.
Or my homegirl. Oh no, I gotta follow the sister because she's my sorrow, or she'll be the first. And all that stuff is done for us, man. It's put us in a situation where we're always being underserved, marginalized, and the list that goes on. But more importantly, what happens is when things like this take place, I can guarantee you that the people who look like you and me go along with the program, no matter how horrible it may be, and they'll be given their talking points so they can come back to talk to us, for those of us who understand what's going on. But those individuals also avoid us at the same time.
So let's read this dissent, man, because one of the judges had a dissent about this, but let's check it out. In a 5-page dissent, the conservatives criticized the court's decisions to take up a case while it was still in the early phase, and the court's decision to pause the ruling highly disturbing. Quote, at this time in the history of our country, what the court has done, I fear, will be seen as by some as giving the government a green light to use heavy-handed tactics to skew the presentation of views on the medium that increasingly dominates the dissemination of news, Alito wrote in dissent. That is most unfortunate. So I think that was a very focused statement, and I think it speaks to a lot. I know some folks that ain't gonna have it, so I don't think that's the end of this. And I think if once it reaches high enough levels, they're gonna it's unconstitutional right off rip. But once it reaches higher levels, they'll see it as unconstitutional. But then will there be some sort of rationality to have it? The rationalities that I'm hearing in the article is one that speaks to impoverishedness. So that means that they're going to equity, and they're going to solve poverty by regulating the internet. You buying that? They solving poverty. They solving savage inequalities by regulating the internet. Really?
Right. But that's the okie doke they can give us, man, because most of our folks, we don't do our study, man. We don't try to learn and understand what it is and what is going on. If it doesn't appear, on the local World Star, I don't even know if World Star is still a thing anymore, but World Star like channels, we don't know about it. We don't care about it.
Right.
Only thing we care about is constantly showing how much food we can eat, how many white parties we can have. How everybody's telling us how we can make some quick money and how we can avoid paying taxes. But nobody gives you the blueprint on how to really go through this world and go through society that is just and that is righteous. And I'm not trying to give this ain't no religious talk here. This is just knowing that we live in an unjust world, and how do we make that world more just?
Yeah, man. So articles like this, and motions that are trying to be codified like this turned into law are things that they're the boogeyman on society. They plague society in ways that are super duper unfair. And one of the things that people are kind of going silent about, right? Ironically, you're going silent about your right to freedom of speech. How you gonna go silently about your right to freedom of speech? That's crazy on crazy. So let's put your boy Elon up here, man. Ex-users make genocide calls, even though euphemisms will be suspended, warns Musk. Now, this is all over the anti-Semite monopoly that they're trying to create. So
how they corner the market on that, and there is no other Semites in the world except for them.
Right. So I'm trying to pop it in there. 1 second. Where is Eli? I had it right up here. Hold on. Okay, here we go. So it says the owner, Elon Musk, said the accounts of users who post terms like decolonization, river to the sea, and quote, similar euphemisms, which necessarily imply genocide, will get suspended from the social media platform clear calls for extreme violence are against our terms of service and will result in suspension, the billionaire said. Now, this is what I'm trying to get at. How do they know that decolonization means violence? How did they make that? How did they make that leap? How did they make that? How did they come to that understanding?
Opinion apartheid.
That sound like shaky boots to me, man. That sound
Yeah.
like people. That sound like people scared. That sound like people scared for people to talk, tell the truth, and say what they need to say in the way they need to say it.
Well, I think one of the things that has taken place is we know that uh, information isn't as controlled as it used to be when we had we didn't before we had the internet, so to speak. And the one thing that the internet did do, it proliferated data. Some crazy, some not so crazy, and some are straight and to the point and correct. And so this is a way in which we can turn back the times to be able to control how and what people think and what information and data you can be that you're exposed to. Because remember, in this go round right now, what's going on with Is It Real is this protest all over the country, even though the media is not showing it, on college campuses across this country, where we should be having these protests and we should be having these higher discussions. They don't want that to happen because the gig is up, so to speak. People now, you just can't just tell them something, and it's almost like we have this huge dichotomy. We got those who are in tune to data and information. When something happened, they go and try and learn it and find out what's happening. Then there's just others who's just like, hey, I'm still going to the white party tomorrow night. Hey, the gay party's still going on.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, but it's a critical mass of those who are saying, I don't believe you. No, something don't sound right. And
Right.
that's where we have the problem.
Yeah, man, it's even so bad that they're having Israelis in Israel being arrested for giving a disseminating voice on the war itself because they don't want it to go on any longer. So let me put that up, and we could talk about it. Risking arrest and assault, Israelis begin protesting the Gaza war. Okay, gathering outside the army's headquarters in central Tel Aviv, dozens of Israelis call for a ceasefire and the release of hostages. Last Saturday evening, Hamas attack on Israel. In the current atmosphere of violence, repression, and persecution, any public act of defiance is against the war. Against the war is noteworthy. Protesters in front of Israeli military headquarters on Kaplan Street, where it all began, tens of thousands of anti-government protesters have begun amassing every Saturday since January, a few hundred miles away. Trying to find that part, but it talks about journey to the previous. It says that La Familia attacked an anti-war demonstration in Tel Aviv while the police stood by. This time, the police announced a total prohibition on all political demonstrations while Israel is at war.
Well, I think that's going on because once again, even some of these Israelis that are over there are starting to say, "Whoa, wait a minute, something ain't right."
Right.
And then the fact that we have to worry about these people bombing us. Why are they bombing us? Those are the questions. You can only have these things exist and happen for so long before people start to ask the critical question. And I think what's happening is you have a new generation of people that are asking the critical question. And that's where the problem's coming in at. And part of the reasons why they're asking the critical connection is because they're connected to people all over the world. And even though I may have been raised, say, in a very monolithic society, I can go on social media, I can get on the internet and I can learn from other people worldwide. And they would actually have and be in these rooms where we're having these discussions, and it really starts to change a kid's worldview. If anything, equip them with critical thinking skills to say, hey, what's really going on?
Indictments have been filed against 170 protesters. Wow. Crazy, man. Crazy stuff. They are arresting their own people. Can't make this stuff up, man. Can't make this stuff up. And while we paying attention to that theater, they slipping us a Mickey with the FCC, right? Let me give you a problem and provide the solution.
Hegelian dialectic.
So, here's something off the beaten path, man, but it's worth noting and it's worth talking about. There was a little viral post that went around. And it was this right here. I don't know. I got a son. You got a son. I got two sons. You have a son. And this impacts their cultural and dating and mating future. So this was a viral list of bad first date spots is backfiring in a major way. Do not disrespect the Cheesecake Factory. If anybody knows about that post that went crazy on the internet a little while ago, there was a Cheesecake Factory lady, and she thought that the Cheesecake Factory wasn't a respectable first date or worthy of her time, or whatever she thought. So there's a mama. Well, let me show you the list first. Let me get the list up. So I can show you this crazy list, man. A viral list. Okay, let me put it in the chat. What do you think of that, man? You laugh, man. So I think you had a little bit of experience with this, man. Did you check this little post out or what?
I saw the post, and it's funny because earlier today, if you're gonna be playing the mama who had her son sitting right there with her.
Yeah. I'll play that in a second.
I heard that today, and I'm like, she couldn't have said it any better.
Right. Absolutely. All right, so I'm gonna put it up. I'm gonna share my screen, and I'll put it up. And y'all let me know at home. Come on, ladies, talk it up. Lady T, where you at? Talk it up for us. Let us know what you think about this list. Would you be okay with your people taking you and exposing you, and taking you on a date to this list, to the places on the list?
I think one of the bigger things that young brothers have to understand, and young men in general, is if you're trying to get to where you're trying to go in life, you may not have a lot of money right now. You may be a student. I know when I was in college, I couldn't even take a girl to Chili's or Applebee's.
Right.
Let alone, whether outside of the fact that I don't support, chain restaurants. But I mean, there are certain chain restaurants that you're going to go to. Cheesecake Factory would definitely be one of them. We all went to IHOP. Come on, because that was the only place that was open in the middle of the night.
So once again, this is a viral list of bad first date spots backfiring in a major way. And let's talk about it. How is it backfiring?
And if people don't know, remember it was a video where a young gentleman took a sister out, and they were going to Cheesecake Factory, and she wouldn't get out the car. She's like, "How dare you bring me to Cheesecake Factory?"
Right.
How dare you? Like, I don't know.
She even locked the door. She may
not ever pay for it.
She even locked the door.
Yeah, and I don't think she ever paid for a meal, because Cheesecake Factory ain't cheap.
No, it is not. No, it is not. You could blow $300 in there easy, because I've done it.
Bruh, say no more.
I've done it. If you got a party of 5, you can get into it. Let's talk about it. Cheesecake Factory, Applebee's, Chili's, Chipotle, Olive Garden, the movies. Now, come on. You remember that Babyface song? I met my baby at the Bang Bang. Shoot 'em up movies, yeah. That was the that was that hit right there, boy. That's when Babyface was with his group. I'm dating myself a little bit. So any fast food chain, Buffalo Wild Wings, Wingstop, Red Lobster, a buffet. Some sisters like a buffet. IHOP, Denny's. I wouldn't go to no Denny's. The gym. Now that might be a great first date. See if she's physically fit, if she's into her fitness. Church, Starbucks, coffee dates, ice cream dates. Now, see, ice cream dates are dope. I don't know what they talking about.
Even
Family
coffee
fun.
dates, man, because coffee dates, you actually spend time interacting. You know, that's why I thought, like, okay, they going a little overboard.
Movie night, Netflix and chill, somewhere that requires a long drive, bowling, nightclubs, hookah bars, a bar just for drinks, Waffle House, or sporting events. Sporting events, that's a pricey ticket. Sporting events are a pricey ticket. Now, why wouldn't you want to go to a sporting event? Come on now. Now, here's what I'm going to offer when I see that list. What looks crazy. You know what? Let's do this first. Let's watch the video of the mama going oops upside the head about this topic.
But before you throw it on, that list all but pretty much knocked out any and everything you can do. So I'm trying to figure out where you gonna take them.
Right. So this is mama says no foodie calls with my son. Real HD show. Check it out.
He gonna take you to. What's the last restaurant your daddy took you to? Because you shouldn't be coming to him to be your daddy. That's not his role. It's a first date. I want y'all to bring that down to level 3. Y'all way on 10 with this foolishness and want to embarrass somebody. My second question is, have you ever been anywhere? Where do you take yourself? Let me see your checkbook registry. Let me log into your bank account and see what you feed yourself on a regular basis. Where do you take yourself for lunch or dinner? That's the next question I want you to answer. And then the third thing about this, come on back over here because I need you to understand what time it is. A real lady is going to be there for the purpose of what it's for. She's not looking for food because she's hungry that she can't afford so she can take it to go and get a doggy bag. I'm going to wrap this up to go. Why? You ain't going to have food tomorrow? That's a poverty mindset. So a first date, again, is to get to know the person, to hang out, have fun. Y'all should be laughing and talking. It don't need to be a steakhouse. We don't even know if you worth a steak. You might just be worth a piece of bread. So ladies, young ladies, grow up. Get some maturity about yourself.
She laid it down, man.
Hey, give it up for the sister. I was watching Crimson Cure. I don't know if you check out her channel. She's real dope. She's a female. She's a sister, but she's like a Muslim sister who's a brother's advocate. And she made a point a while back on one of her shows because it wasn't my thought; it was her thought, and I thought her thought was spot on. This sister comes from the vanguard of those who would hold other sisters accountable for their actions, like Miss Maybelline used to do at the church.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Baby, why you ain't got no stockings on? With that sort of dress, you get after you. There'll be some accountability for your choices, for how you move in the world, how you presented yourself as a lady. And it wasn't just, now I know she was speaking directly for her son, but she reminded you of them auntie teas back in the 70s and the 80s that set you straight if you live in a little crooked. And I think that's something that's missing from the community because everybody's trying to live their second childhood. Even people that are 40 and 50 years old trying to live their second childhood, living vicariously through young folk when they should be setting the young folk straight. What you think?
You put it just like it needs to be said, man. Maybe if we had more adults. I remember when I used to have the nightclub. You know how many brothers used to come in there, man, that I knew was young when I was young. That was old when I was young. Still out there, man. Brother got a jean suit on, some Timbs, trying to come in there and hang with the young folks, man. He wants to sit at the bar. He buying everybody rounds, got a little, got a sister on the side, probably about 20 years younger than him minimum. And I'm still saying to myself, man, when is enough, man? When you just going to grow up and be that old great sage where brothers and sisters can come to for some wisdom and knowledge.
Yeah.
And you out here doing what they doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Got your cell phone on your side with your shirt flipped over.
I said Jerome in the house. Watch your mouth.
But you know what though? Jerome, the interesting thing about Jerome wasn't trying to keep up with the latest styles.
Yeah.
And Jerome was laying down some old school.
Yeah.
These dudes ain't laying down no old school, man. So I wouldn't even call him Jerome. If he was laying it down,
Jerome was crazy.
Like you say, man, they still trying to act like they're young.
Yeah. 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 Here's something that I also noticed with that list was they canceled out a lot of activities that required some level of intimacy.
Interaction,
intimacy, right? Like, I'm gonna get to know you. Are you a weirdo? Are you afraid to sit down and talk to somebody? Are you afraid to interact with someone? Are you afraid to like mix it up? Maybe I don't need to mess with you long term. If you're afraid to sit down and interact and be normal and be human, and you get these, $1,000 devices, you know what I mean? And you forget you turn into a social weirdo and you forget how to talk to people. And also, as a society, we don't have those things in tow or in practice that would bring about that social intimacy. We make all kinds of excuses, you know what I mean, for not, When the last great slow jam you heard from modern times,
bruh?
From modern times, not back in the day. We can rattle those off. I'm talking about modern. When the last modern slow jam you heard?
Put it this way: there are slow jams out there. They're not on popular radio.
I agree.
I will say that much. But I'll say this: what we got going on right now is all our relationships now becoming transactional. It's not about the relationship. It's not about building the interconnectedness. It's about the transaction. Because what are most young dudes are saying right now? Well, if I'm paying for this, what I'm getting? If I'm flying you out here to California with me, what am I getting? This dude gonna fly me out here and think he gonna get mad at me because I wouldn't give him none. Well, that's what your relationship you was establishing was based upon the transactions that were going to take place.
That's implied, right?
So you can't get mad because you offering up, hey, I'll give you this. And you see all those little skits on social media where the young lady ain't interested in him. Then he jumps in a nice little ride. Now she said, "Oh, wait a minute, you might be all right."
Yeah, this your whip, this your car.
Yeah.
And
then get in there and he asked the question, well, who are you? What you got? Well, why don't you take me shopping? Take me to get something to eat. And well, why? I don't even know you. How am I taking you out to eat?
Right.
What you bringing to the table? Me. And all these women say it's me, meaning their body, their looks. And if I have to engage you like that, I'm engaging transactionally. And then we wonder why, in our community in particular, I don't care about the others, our community, why the young brothers and sisters can't seem to get together to build a nation, man.
Yeah, for sure. That's a poison pill. That's a poison pill for sure. And putting lipstick on called booty hole brown. That's not helping the cause either.
and coochie pink, whatever. Just
being ratchet and ridiculous, man. Hey, that's gonna do it for us. Go ahead, get your last word in, bro.
Oh no, I said, but when you have stuff like this, the end result is booty hole brown.
Right. Exactly.
Because you on display.
Exactly, and we ain't talking about compost neither. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hey, that's going to do it for us on the Real HD show, the Higher Discussion. Thank you to everyone. Godspeed, Rajesh, and thank Brother Mozzie for jumping in, being great guests, giving a lot of insightful commentary. I wanted to get to a lot more. Tune in on Wednesday when we do. Hopefully, we get She Glows Forever to do our wellness segment on the show. That's my wife. She said she's going to jump on Wednesday and do the AAT report for us on wellness, and I can't wait. She's been a wellness executive for years, and she's gonna have a special something to share with the people, and it's gonna be fire because she's kind of getting her wings. She wants to do her own show about wellness and well-being for melanated people. So she's going to try it out for size, and it should be a great situation. So share, and subscribe to the show. Share this to everybody you know. Show everybody how brilliant Brother Mozzie is. You know what I'm saying? Because he always come on here and drop something, some bonfire on us. You know what I mean? And I appreciate it. I appreciate all the efforts on the show. And as always, I'm just gonna say peace and walk with power. We love y'all, man. Love on each other. And we are gone.